Me and my girlfriend, we were walking our dog outside. It was like the day after a huge hurricane where we're living. And basically, she was just walking the dog, and right under a little tree, she's like, there's a little pink thing over here. And so she goes over there. I mean, she takes the dog away because we're walking the dog. So I walk over there. I'm like, okay, what is this little guy? And then I see him move. And oh my gosh, whatever this thing is, it's still alive. So basically, I told her, I'm like, just go grab me a napkin and I'll pick it up, and at least we'll see what we can do, right? So I took it inside, and my mom's actually a registered nurse. So as soon as I brought it in, she was like, "Oh no, we gotta try to save him. We gotta keep him warm, blah blah blah." And at this point, we didn't even know what it was. So we're sitting here trying to figure out what this little pink thing is, but on top of that, we're trying to also figure out what we have to do for it. So she's just keeping it warm. After a little bit of research, I mean, in the areas we're in, it was pretty obvious. It was either a squirrel or a possum. So pretty much same standard procedures if you're raising up a little guy like that. So I ran to the pet store. There's like a certain brand of pet formula. It's actually puppy formula. Um, and we got that. I got a couple little syringes, so we could try to feed him. But I'm pretty sure we found him like the day he was born. So it was really hard for him to like latch on to anything. For us to even get that little nozzle into his mouth was really difficult. So we were literally feeding him like drop by drop. It would take like an hour for him to just get like two little drops in. As far as price goes, we probably spent like $50 just originally just to kind of get him going. And then we ended up buying a heating pad. And then after that, we actually reached out to a vet, so like a wild animal vet, because he was outside when it was raining, so it was really wet outside for him. And the main thing was that if he's breathing in water, it could kind of get stuck in his lungs, or he could aspirate. So essentially, we got him a vet appointment, and they were like, yeah, he probably has a little bit of water in his lungs. So we actually had to get him an antibiotic. So on top of feeding him every 2 hours, now we had to add in this antibiotic every like 12 hours. So we were putting a lot of time into it. The antibiotic wasn't expensive, really. It was probably like $35. But it worked really well. It was able to get him to stop making those little clicking noises. Another thing we got was the little tips to the syringe. It's basically looks just like his mom's like nipple, I guess. I don't know what we would kind of call it, but it's just like the little tip to the syringe. It works perfect. So he was able to latch onto that even with his tiny little mouth. And that's kind of how we fed him for the first about 6 weeks. So at that time, we were still trying to figure out, okay, are we just gonna raise him up and let him go, or are we gonna at least get him to a point where we could take him to a rehab center? But as we kind of started putting in the time and we did our research online, and where we're at, it's not illegal at all to have it, to have pet squirrels or whatnot. So I started researching, and I actually found this 8-foot cage online on Facebook Marketplace from another guy who actually had pet squirrels as well. So he was like, this is literally built for squirrels and all that stuff. So we picked up this cage. At the time, he was still living in a shoebox, because with squirrels, when they're first born, their eyes are shut and they can't open them for like the first whole 6 weeks that they're alive. So he was just chilling in a little shoebox. We would just take him out and feed him, and then he would just be sleeping most of the time. But as soon as he opened his eyes, it was like the whole game changed. So that's when we decided to get the cage, and we start bringing him outside and just trying to familiarize him with being in the world and everything. So yeah, that's just kind of the basics of it, from finding him to kind of him growing up and being able to move around and do all that general stuff. The first time we took him outside, he was really little still, so he didn't really, like, I put him on a tree and he just kind of like sat there and didn't really do much. As he got older, it's become a little bit, a little more sketchy bringing him outside, because he is really fast. So like if he wanted to run away or go, wherever he wanted, he definitely could. But again, no, he now that he has a little bit of a connection with us, like even when I'm just walking around the house, he'll follow me around, or like I can just be like I can make a little snapping noise and he'll come and run and jump on my leg. So he kind of knows that it's like, okay, we're gonna go outside. As soon as I open the door to come back inside, he runs in before me. So he actually likes being inside, I feel like, more than outside, but we have to get him that sunlight and everything.